All right. Welcome back, ladies and gents. Here we go, straight into it. Today we're going to unpack the Module B prescription. So basically, the description of what this unit is all about as created by Nessa, and Module B is the critical study of literature. Let's move it along. Okay, I recommend you now, actually no, I don't recommend, I demand that you pause me right now and read through this description. I've also put another link to that on Edmodo, and sorry, not a link, I've put the, I don't know, what do you call it, a Word doc up on Edmodo for you to open and read along, or you can go to this link here. So please pause now, read through, and come back to me. Otherwise, everything I say from now on will make no sense. Alrighty, see you in a minute. Okay, so our prescribed text, or as this says, a substantial literary text, will be the poetry of T.S. Eliot. We'll be exploring 5 poems from T.S. Eliot, and we will come to our own conclusions as to what the collection says to the audience, and find the evidence to explain how he came to these readings. Here is good old T.S. here, Thomas Stern. Delightful old chap. Actually, he was quite melancholy, and I don't know why, but for some reason everybody from the 1920s spoke like this and had very big ears. I don't know if it was because they had that very tightly slicked hair, but if you go back and look at all those gentlemen of that time, they certainly do have protruding ears. Anyway, moving on. We're going to be looking at the poems from Eliot, the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock, preludes, Rhapsody on a Windy Night, The Hollow Men, and Journey of the Magi, or Magi, as I have also heard it described. Moving on. Okay, so assessment for this task. The assessment task for Module B is in the trial, HSC, and it is a good old extended response. Now, just to reiterate, COVID-19 does not affect this module. Okay, it never has an assessment task in term 2. Okay, so nothing is different here. And while this may seem like a hip hip hooray moment, it's actually a little bit of a disadvantage because you're not necessarily having a practice run before the trial. So what you'll be doing is an extended response as a class assignment, which ensures you have some foundation before the trial, so you're not going in unprepared. So there will be a task to do an extended response, usually around week 8, hopefully, if we're on track. And this at least gives you a practice go before the trials. Otherwise, you're going in cold. Or, as Tony Abbott once said, no, I'm not going to say that. Okay, so from the rubric, we had this little statement that students will be doing a close analysis of the text's construction, content, and language. So the analysis of the text construction is how it's put together. Because it's poetry, we're going to be making sure that we're aware of Eliot's form, his particular style, how he forms or utilises stanzas, how he creates tension, what motifs and patterns are there, what sort of character or persona development is used, etc. We're looking at the close analysis of the content, the ideas, themes, subject matters, and issues that emerge from the poetry. And finally, of course, we will be analysing the language, Eliot's style, and specific features, devices, and techniques adopted to shape meaning. So, this, go away. This close analysis will then lead us to then recognise your views. Okay, students appreciate and express their views about aesthetic aspects of the text. So what beauty, appeal, or mastery of language is evident in Eliot's work? Appreciate, express your views about imaginative aspects of the text. How is it inventive or inspired? So what ideas and visions does the text conjure in our imaginings, and does it impact on our own creative compositions? So you might find from this poetry it might alter, shape, or influence your craft of writing. A lot of students from last year actually were deeply impacted by T.S. Eliot, and you could see his influence emerge in their work. So you've still got time to allow fresh texts and fresh influences to shape your craft of writing and take it in a bit of a different direction. Okay, options are endless. How fabulous. Okay, also from the rubric, knowledge, understanding and appreciation of literary texts. Students will come to understand the text's distinctive qualities, textual integrity and significance. So what do we mean by distinctive qualities? What makes Eliot's work unique, reactionary? How was it different in its own context? And perhaps even incomparable in our context. Textual integrity. What makes this a piece of high value? Does it, and how does it achieve its purpose and intent? How do multiple elements work together to create a cohesive whole? So what are the threads that run through all the poems that bring it all together? And finally, the significance. What sort of reception has his poetry received, both in his context, in our context, and in between? How has it transcended time? What was its influence on its context? And how has it achieved this canonical status? Why, essentially, is it now considered a benchmark for other texts to compare against? So overall, this critical study of literature, through our personal responding and reactions, our research, our awareness of other interpretations, we will create clear and personal readings of that text that we will support with extensive evidence. So you are coming to your own personal reading. Yes, of course, you are researching and looking at how other people have interpreted it, but you're not just regurgitating somebody else's reading of the poetry. Okay, you're coming to your own understanding. You'll also be appreciating these other readings. You might not agree necessarily, but you need to be able to provide the evidence why the text could be interpreted through these other perspectives other than your own. With consolidated understanding and appreciation, we'll be able to argue our reading of the text to ultimately recognise why the text is so influential and essentially a masterpiece. Even if we don't personally like it, we must appreciate it. Now, this idea of arguing is important. This isn't just a close analysis. We're not just saying, this is my reading and why. You need to also be able to say, okay, other readings are this, and here is the evidence. Yes, it can be interpreted that way. However, my reading is more accurate, and here is the evidence. Okay, so this actually means you need to know this poetry inside and out. Okay, all right, we've unpacked the rubric and we are now going to move on to how we actually read and think critically.